ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman Magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
It's Thursday, March 26th, 2025, the final weekend of March, and the return of a one-month New Jersey spring tog season coming up ahead of us on Tuesday, April 1st. I'm Jim Hutchinson with a New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman Magazine, and we're getting pretty close to countdown time, similar to what I did during the month of February leading up to the March 1st Outback Striper season. Figure Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, 5 days until spring tog, and then maybe next week we'll start counting down the days until May 4th, the opening day of summer flounder here in the Garden State. And I would remind you too that next Saturday, April 5th, New Jersey trout season reopens again as well. Now, trout stocking efforts are underway throughout the region. Here in New Jersey, most of the trout stocked waters are closed as of March 17th. They're off limits so that division staffers can feverishly deposit new rainbow trout in all the water bodies throughout the Garden State getting trout. We'll talk about the 2025 stocking effort. We'll go through a 2025 stock report in just a few minutes, but first a quick rundown on striped bass, the more popular species for this time of year here at the Jersey Shore. Let's start to the south this week. I did speak to Nick at Hands to Bait and Tackle over the weekend while we were compiling our fishing reports. He said there has been an uptick in striper action in the back bays. He reports on decent action along the sod banks, especially on the sunny days. And he said with Menhaden now on the scene with a little bird play off the beach and back on the Delaware Bay, he's expecting to see those ocean run stripers arriving anytime soon through into Delaware Bay and all up along the Delaware Bay shore. Now on Tuesday, Justin Shaw checked in there at Hands to Bait and Tackle with the very first slot striper of the 2025 season for Justin and also for Hands to Bait and Tackle, I believe. That was a 28.5-inch fish. And I also heard from Jake Rebel, who sent this photo on March 22nd of his first spring striper of the season in the Delaware in South Jersey. Now, Higbees in Fortescue. Bloodworms are running out the door as quickly as they come in for folks trying their hand down there along Fortescue Beach. And much the same can be said when you get up around the bend on the Delaware River up as far as Greenhorn Outdoors in Pennsville with that tournament, that slot striper tournament continuing through this weekend. Now, I've heard of unconfirmed reports of sizable striped bass being caught and released along the Delaware River at this point. So certainly the big girls are coming through on their mission to head upriver to spawn during the month of April. We know the jumbos must be there because the bait is there. Bunker in the bay, what's left, I guess, of our herring population moving up the Delaware River. But George Horvath sent this chunky fella. He must be an indication of some bait up the river a little bit. This big, fat seal hanging out on the docks of Bordentown's Yacht Club in Crosswicks Creek. That's some 65 miles away from the ocean. So certainly something must be heading upriver at this point. Now, I would remind you, of course, for what it's worth, the striper fishing is closed on the Delaware River from the Salem River to the Calhoun Street Bridge in Trenton during the months of April and May. That's during the striped bass spawning season. So all of April, all of May, that's always been in place. Them's the rules. That said, I'm sure we'll see a few bycatch striped bass from that stretch at some point in the coming months. That's where they've always had a circle hook regulation. There was no harvesting of striped bass. I don't really know if it's no targeting of striped bass, but I'll tell you, it's been good having that circle hook restriction for many, many years along that stretch of the Delaware, because the Delaware River is hopefully a part of the key to our spawning success in the future. Now back over to our eastern coast. Behind the barrier islands, stripers are on the sedges and sod banks in Cape May, Atlantic, Ocean, Monmouth, and Middlesex counties. Farther up north as well, up the Hudson River and into the Hackensack. With big fish on the move up the Delaware at this point, expect similar things to happen soon enough on the Raritan. I missed this one last week, the very first reported keeper slot from Scott's Bait and Tackle in Mystic Island. Derek Becker, 30.5 inches, graveling point. And I do expect the bite everywhere to hit a new gear coming up this Saturday. Beautiful weather. A snapshot from my weather app here in Brick Township. 75 on Saturday for a high, 62 on Sunday, and almost 70 degrees again on Monday. Going back up that Raritan Bay, I know we're all really waiting for things to just blow up, which it usually does at the beginning of April. Ronaldo Mall, he emailed me on Wednesday morning from the Raritan Bay where he was fishing soft plastics from his kayak, and he had them up to 35 and 36 inches. So there's some good sized stripers there. Are they ocean run? Are they big fat bass that have been sitting down at the bottom of the Raritan Bay and Raritan River? I don't know. But we have talked about that in the last couple of weeks with the gannets diving off of Sandy Hook. So certainly the bait has arrived, and typically some of those big fish are hot on the tails of the herring schools and the bunker, which are moving up into the Raritan Bay as well at this point. Definitely a tasty little stretch of spring-like weather in the days ahead. Good for wetting a line, perhaps getting some work done on the boat to splash her down for the season ahead. A season of personal bests. These are the goals that many of you shared last week in Open Boat. Jenni Ackerman was trying to talk to as many people as possible for our Open Boat segment at the Saltwater Fishing Expo. Well, if you didn't get in last week's video, but you know you did an interview with Jenni at the New Jersey Saltwater Expo, then maybe we've got you in there this week.
Hi everyone, it's Jenni here. Literally, I just got back home from the last day of the Saltwater Expo, and I just first of all want to express all my gratitude for all you subscribers or new subscribers who came to see the Fisherman Magazine at the show. We had a record-breaking show, as did everyone else at the Saltwater Expo. It was an excellent turnout the whole weekend long. And thank you everyone who came to do a video with me. I love talking with everyone at the show. It can get a little busy, but I did appreciate speaking to every single one of you. Now, we're gonna kick off part 2 of sharing our goals for the fishing season. And everyone that I talked to, I hope your goals come true this year. I'll catch you guys on next week's Open Boat.
How you guys doing? My name's Paulie. I'm with Jigging World. And my goal for this year is to sell the most rods. Come check me out, the Banana Guy. You don't have to invite me on your boat, but you gotta buy a rod. Let's get it.
My goal for this fishing season is to catch a 50-inch striper on a boat.
Drop that in.
My goal for this fishing season is to catch a bigger fluke than my dad on land.
I'm JP Carney, and my goal for the season is a 40-inch striped bass.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Ildefonso. I am 9 years old and I'm out of Orange, New Jersey, and I fish in saltwater. And my goal for the 2025 season is probably to catch probably my personal best fluke off the surf.
Give me a high five.
What's going on, guys? It's Sam. I work for Quantum. My goals for this fishing year is I want to catch a bunch of big tarpon and some big snook. I want to break my PB this year.
Hi, my name is Arian, and my goal for this season is to beat my striped bass PB.
Give me a fist bump. Perfect.
My goal for the 2025 season is to catch a big bluefish.
My goal for the 2025 season is to catch a big croaker.
What's going on? My name is Mike Frezza. I'm Fisherman's Headquarters, and my goals for the 2025 fishing season are to break my personal best punter or per gull.
Hi, my name's Jace. My goal for the fishing season is to catch a lot of keepers.
Hi, my name is Cameron. My goal is to catch 50 bluefish.
Hi, my name is Dean. My goal is to catch 50 striped bass.
Hi, I'm Nick Safara, and my goal for the fishing season is over 10-pound blackfish.
Hello, my name is Tommy. I want to catch a fish, yes, big.
You should subscribe to the Fisherman Magazine.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
In the famed waters of Panama awaits a fishing experience like no other. Tropic Star Lodge welcomes anglers to get in on world-famous fishing action. Plan your perfect trip today. Tropic Star Lodge, the ultimate in fishing adventures for more than 60 years.
That was my man Jace there at the end of the open boat segment, a natural on camera, and I expect you'll see more from him in the social media world, both fishing and football. But he's right, you need to subscribe to the Fisherman Magazine, not just this weekly video fishing forecast, but you gotta get the magazine. You gotta get the magazine. Jace was holding the March edition in his hands. I am holding a hot off the presses edition of April. It's on newsstands, it's in tackle shops this week, and subscribers will receive your copy by this weekend. Give you something to read while you're sitting out on the chair along the sod banks waiting for a bite. So yeah, we're turning the page on another month. That was Taryn Dillon on the cover. She and her husband Andy fish hard, and they send me some of the crispest, the most crisp, the cleanest, the clearest, and the most high-resolution images, which is why I save them throughout the year. But I thought it was the perfect April edition cover because everybody is starting to think now with splashing the boat and gearing up and looking for gulp. You want to start gearing up for the summer flounder opening. The fluke season start on May 4th. You take a look at the glossy section table of contents in that April edition. Spotlight on bow thrusters by Captain John Raguso, but there's that strategy session with Matt Broderick, our Long Island edition editor, talking about what you can expect from the start of the summer flounder season, fluke, depending on where you are in the state. That'll give you some reading this month to gear up for the fluke season. Tackle tips with Captain Brett Taylor out of Barnegat. You've also got some myth-busting stuff from Dr. Adam Aguiar from Stockton University, and a pretty cool electronics how-to with Captain Mike Roy. Finally, our tail end feature of the month from New Jersey's Jeff Sorelli about a headboat trip he took aboard Captain Joe Galluccio's Sea King out of Belmar many, many moons ago. Thanks for the photo. The late Mel Deek had sent this along previously. Mike's memorabilia. Listen, these are some cool features in the back of the magazine. In the back of the glossy, of course, is where you'll find Jeff's article on grumpiest old men. But if you've got a fishing tale, one of those there I was features, it's a fun story, funny, prophetic, whatever it might be. 750 words or less. I'm always in need for a photo, but send me your tail end features. We'll even pay you some cash. Send it to my email address, jhutchinson@thefisherman.com. Maybe you'll see your byline in a future edition of the Fisherman Magazine. Now, once you're done with that glossy section, turn to the local section, the table of contents in the New Jersey Delaware Bay edition. Check your bait, freshen up that bloodworm, then pop down atop your bucket again. Turn to the whole local section to read up on New Jersey Delaware Bay action. First of all, the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge kicks off again on May 1st. I will run through in my article in this month's edition the whole prize construction, how it's put together, how you can win that $75,000 Steiger Yamaha Humminbird and Minn Kota prize package as a subscriber to the Fisherman Magazine. Again, it starts with you paying to be a subscriber, and then once you've got a fish on the board, you're going to win a prize at the end. But the hardest fishing subscriber of the entire bunch will be driving off in a Steiger next year, the Dreamboat Fishing Challenge. You've also got an article from Tom P., Rack and Fin Radio. He's got that 2025 stock report. That's all the rainbow trout being stocked throughout the Garden State. He's got water bodies, talking a little bit about the brood stock, where you can go find out information about next Saturday's opener. I would assume I'll be at next Saturday. I'll be out at Spring Lake for the Shark River Surf Anglers, their annual kids event. And I know the ospreys are probably already set up there because the deposits of rainbows are there, and it's one of the oddest things to see those ospreys flying around the lake picking off fresh stocked trout. Also in the April edition, you've got Frank Mihalic talking tactics for when New Jersey's 30-day tog season reopens on Tuesday. Our Central Jersey field editor, Ashley Viola, an alum of Stockton. She talks a little bit about what some of the Stockton alum like her are doing now after college, including a spotlight on Barnegat Bay. And finally, Captain Scott Newhall offers up an approach to take when the forage and the striper migrations don't exactly mesh. Hopefully they will, but you've got all kinds of baits to make sure that you're all geared up for when the striped bass action is all hot and bothered. And I figure another 2 weeks, maybe 3 at the most at this point. Again, look for Fluke on the cover. Prep now for a Fluke, and May the 4th be with you. Just checking the calendar this week for opening day. May 4th is a Sunday. Keep that in mind as we get closer to the start date. Actually, I was looking at the tide charts. It looks like we've got in the back the last couple of hours of outgoing on that Sunday, May 4th, which I typically like the outgoing tide a little bit better for the warmer water from the start of the summer flounder season. Covers. I mentioned Taryn being on the cover. I'm always looking for reader covers. They have to be vertical. That's first. Can't have a horizontal photo in a cover. You got to send me a vertical, just like the magazine. B, make sure it's high resolution. Today's cell phones are shooting big, massive, like 2-3 megabyte photos. That's what I need. I need something that's high resolution, crisp, clear, an interesting background, a good fish, a happy angler. I'm sorting through some of my favorite images right now, trying to pick out what the cover is going to be for May. So if you've got something that you think would be a good cover image, you can also email that to me, jhutchinson@thefisherman.com. Just include who, what, where, and why. Well, I know, it's because you're catching fish, and that's what it's all about. I did mention tog, Blackfish. That opening day on Tuesday, April 1st, that article by Frank Mihalic, it's called Alter Ego Blackfish, When Winter Turns to Spring. That starts on page 22 of the New Jersey, Delaware Bay edition of the Fisherman Magazine, our April edition. Now, I fished with Frank and members of the Cape Atlantic Striper Club a couple of years back, brought back this important tip to remember next week and through the month of April, whether big tog or little ones, on the importance of fishing a slack line.
Trying to be very patient. The key is we're not fishing for little fish. Fishing for big fish requires more patience, a little bit of a different mentality. I'm fishing with halves of big crab, and I have it sitting on the bottom right now, and I'm fishing a slack line. So if you notice the rod, which is perfectly balanced, the rod's just sitting there and the line is taut, and I can feel every tap if a fish were to hit that line. But I'm not moving the sinker, because if you move a sinker, you're going to get attacked by dogfish. So I'm just going to very patiently sit here and wait. If I do feel a tap, I'm going to use my forearm to raise the rod tip. The rod butt goes into my gut, and I'm going to crank like hell and get that fish out of the structure as quickly as possible. And that's how you land big blackfish.
I heard from Jim Steve this week, who was out at Verona Park just before the spring stocking closure on March 17th, and just after Verona Park, it iced out some rainbow trout, hungry, from last year's stock, still there. Good news. As of next weekend, the long, cold winter will be officially over, because that's the start of trout season in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, and Delaware too, because part of Delaware is already open, but all of Delaware will be open to everybody after next Saturday, April 5th, because April 6th is the Sunday when the adults can have at it in Delaware. So next weekend, it's all about trout, and that is just, from there on, it's the rest of the season, it's the rest of spring and summer, and it should just be gangbusters from there. George Schauer is looking at trout and crappies and muskie on Beltzville, and he's also got our shad report in our freshwater update with our Pocono Outdoors guy.
Well, hey, thanks, Jim. Delaware River is starting to get on fire, guys. You know, the shad run is starting to come on. Cooler temps over this past week have tempered things a little bit, but we're hearing guys all up and down the river getting into some of their first shad of the season. Our good friend Tim Cleaver checked in. He was out showing off a few of the fish that he's caught. Still nothing in great numbers, but the shad run is certainly on. Look to get on them over the next week, and we'll see some real numbers start to pile on. We also had friend Tom Gilmore. He checked in. He was up in Water Gap checking out some of the fishing on the Delaware from the Jersey side. He said he got into a couple nice crappie and some bass for his efforts. Good time of year to be out throwing some lures on the Delaware. Now, a real prize catch here, my home lake of Beltzville. We had Joe Wasco check in. He decided he was just going to get out early season and toss around a jerkbait, and this monster beast of a muskie jumped on his line. What a great catch there, Joe. Joe said he only had that out of the water for a few minutes, get a quick picture, and right back in the water for a safe, lively release. So good work there, Joe. Can't get better than that on that lake of Beltzville. Huge fish. Also, we have the trout season just about a week away, guys. Next Saturday, April 5th, is the start of the season here in Pennsylvania and over in New Jersey. So I know you guys will be out getting the season started in proper way, hitting some of these lakes and streams in your area. So be sure you send us lots of those great picks, guys. All you got to do is get out and get on them. But from Pennsylvania, I'm George, your Pocono Outdoors guy.
StriperQuest 2025. It's set for Thursday, May 15th out of the Atlantic Highlands. Once again this season, we'll be opening up this event to members of the public. This is the Northeast Striped Bass study that we've been doing since May of 2019. We've got another 4 pop-up archival satellite tags that we're going to be depositing, installing, deploying in some jumbo stripers on Thursday, May 15th. But we want you to join us. We're opening this up into a competition. We want to make this each and every year the largest single day of striper tagging anywhere. And that's what you're competing for prizes in that event. So if you see that ad in the Fisherman Magazine, you can point your cell phone to it and go right to the website. We would love to see you out there on May 15th. Now let's get to some wind news from that particular area of North Jersey, because from the emails and texts and questions and conversations that I've had during the show season, there seems to be a little bit of confusion about the status of industrial offshore wind at the Jersey Shore. First of all, is the big story in the past few weeks is the fact that an environmental appeals judge ruled to remand a Clean Air Act permit issued last September to Atlantic Shore's offshore wind. Now, this decision by the judge is pretty much saying, I believe, that all the environmental impact studies, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, the CAFRA stuff, it all wasn't followed. So we're sending this back to the EPA. And this is obviously going to lead to more setbacks and delays for this particular project, which was slated off of Long Beach Island, Brigantine, and Atlantic City. So for sure, New Jersey's industrial offshore wind projects are teetering on upon collapse. Now that is true. However, this is a little bit different. Empire Wind 1 is a New York infrastructure project, and New Yorkers, I don't think, have been as active as New Jerseyans in bringing these critical issues to the forefront. Clean water, clean air, CAFRA, ecosystem-related permits, pushing it back against the industrialization of our onshore waters. That's my opinion. But starting May 1st, unless EPA Administrator Zeldin, Interior Secretary Burgum, or President Trump himself calls for a halt on construction, Empire Wind is theoretically sited roughly 13 miles off the south shore of Long Island, and they're ready to pile drive beginning on May 1st. That site is in federal waters, but it's a project to bring cables ashore in New York. They're going to run them up into Brooklyn, 13 miles south of Long Beach on the south shore of Long Island. However, what that means is it's also roughly 19 miles east of Long Branch, because that's in the New York Bight. So yeah, this is going to be some type of environmental impact to both New York and New Jersey. So while the federal lease areas connecting to New Jersey's grid are in question at this point in this new administration, the federal lease areas to connect to the grid in Brooklyn, that work continues. That's almost like it's grandfathered in. Now, I would note this. New York Department of Environmental Conservation has just welcomed a brand new acting commissioner by the name of Amanda Lefton. Now, the DEC of New York is like the DEP of New Jersey. They handle all matters of environmental conservation and protection. And Miss Lefton, prior to becoming head of New York DEC, was director of the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management. BOEM, that's the federal agency that does all the leasing of these industrial offshore wind sites outside of 3 miles. But I would tell you this, Ms. Lefton was also most immediately employed by RWE, which was a German multinational energy company, one of the world's biggest players in the offshore wind sector. So Ms. Lefton left BOEM, then she worked for one of these big German industrial offshore wind places. She was vice president of RWE, and now she's in charge of the New York State agency that's also responsible for New York saltwater fisheries. Boy, I thought our New Jersey DEP commissioner was bad. It's like a race to the bottom here, New York and New Jersey. Administrators trying to fight to see who can rake the anglers over the coals faster and harder through ideological mismanagement. That's what we're faced with right now. Yes, sir. Unbearable is what comes to mind, Commissioner LaTourette. So Tuesday, April 1st, Spring Tog in the Garden State. Look for your copy of the Fisherman Magazine. It's out this week. I want you to subscribe if you're not already a subscriber. By the way, one last note. Folks that subscribed, let's say, at the Atlantic City Boat Show, you should be getting this April edition, I think. If you're a new subscriber, as of the Saltwater Fishing Expo, we had a lot of subscriptions to that show, so I don't think you're in the system yet. So you can expect to get your May edition sometime later on this spring. But if you look in the April edition, go through the report section, you will see all of our advertisers, which is like a Yellow Pages listing because you can see all the head boats, the charter boats that are sailing right now, when they plan on sailing, and some of their boat schedules coming up. And again, with TOG opening up on Tuesday, it should be heating up pretty well. In fact, it's going to heat up even more on the Raritan Bay. As the striper action really kicks into gear in April, I know a lot of boats, a lot of the charter boats move from their regular slips in areas like Manasquan and Shark River, and they set up at Browns and other locations up on Raritan Bay to provide quicker access to that incredible fishery. It is that darn good. Hope your plugging outfits are cleaned and assembled because it should be another solid striper season here at the Jersey Shore. That said, I've waxed, I've washed, I put a newly upholstered seat on the console of my boat. The Minn Kota is charging up. All I have to do is paint the bottom before calling the good folks at Benchmark, picking up my boat, making sure the Suzuki is up to snuff, which she is. I just need to check the oil. And I hope to have the road splashed by April 5th. Perhaps a little winter flounder session, or more likely, plugging those sedges and sod banks in hopes that I'll be soon hearing the cries of laughing gulls, meaning the stripers are piling on bait in the back. Catch them up, my friends. Good luck this weekend. And we'll see you again Thursday, April 3rd, with your next installment of our weekly video fishing forecast here at thefisherman.com.